Good fan. This is Brother Matt. All right, guys, let's get right down to it. So I was doing some more research on the Queen. I found something pretty interesting. I wanted to run this past you. So the Queen, Elizabeth, she married Prince Philip. She was 21 years old, okay? But she married him on November 20th, 1947. What's interesting about this is at the same time that she married Prince Philip at Westminster Abbey, the UN General Assembly was going on at the same time back in 1947. In fact, what had happened was just a few days later, on November 29th of 47, the UN General Assembly adopted the plan as Resolution 181 regarding Israel coming back, as a state or becoming a state. Okay, so I thought it was pretty interesting how it was in the same time frame when she got married at Westminster Abbey that the UN General Assembly was, that event was going on at the same time. The end result was Israel, on paper, was voted on and became a nation state. To then really, at that point, it was then solidified just a few months later on May 14th, 1948. What's my point? Well, take a look at this. So the Queen's death is, the funeral is tomorrow. Okay, here it is from the Royal UK. The state funeral of Her Majesty the Queen will take place at Westminster Abbey on Monday the 19th, which is tomorrow. So interesting, she gets married at Westminster Abbey. A few days later, Israel gets voted on at the UN. Okay? The king, following the death of Her Majesty, the Queen, it is His Majesty the King's wish that a period of royal mourning be observed from now until 7 days after. So, that time, like Pastor J.D. Frog said, is when you add 7 days from the funeral, that brings us to Monday, September 26th, 2022, right dead smack in Rosh Hashanah. Interesting because, as you well know, the UN General Assembly is going on literally at the same time. It's like we're seeing a repeat of 1947. So I suppose maybe the logical question would be, is something going to happen with Israel a few days after her funeral at Westminster Abbey? Do you see do you see how I came to that conclusion? And as if that wasn't interesting enough, look what else I found. On November 20th, 30 years later, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat addresses the Knesset. Egyptian President, from Jerusalem Post, Egyptian President Anwar Sadat made history on November 20th, 1977. 1947, 1977, when he became the first Arab leader to officially visit Israel to meet with the Israel Prime Minister, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And this ultimately ended in the very first peace treaty between an Arab state and Israel. Very interesting. So, I guess I said all that to say this, is that I think we are in a very, very interesting, both prophetic and political time. I would not be surprised if a few days later, maybe even around the end of the mourning period that King Charles wanted, it could very well be that Israel, maybe, just maybe, they're in a position to have a peace treaty confirmed or strengthened. Wouldn't that be something? Look, I don't know what's going to happen. All I'm saying is, based on the past and Queen Elizabeth's life, her marriage was one of the most important events in her life. Only a couple of days later, Israel, I mean, isn't that, wow, the UN General Assembly going on at the same time? I don't know, guys. I just thought it was crazy. Anyways, I wanted to share it with you. we're going home. Look, we're going home. We're going home. We have an appointment, an appointed time with our God, with our King. This is awesome. All right, church, you already know. Look up, for your redemption draws nigh. You do already know. I love you guys.